Hey everybody, today we're going to attempt to install a seal in the rear end of this 1960 Chevy Impala. As you can see, this car has been leaking differential fluid for quite some time. Usually after I park it a while, I get a drip or two, and I want to take the drive shaft loose here at the universal joint, drop it down, and see what we've got. We've already got our car blocked up on stands. We've got our wheels chopped on the front, and the car's in neutral. Now I'm going to remove the U-bolts that hold the universal joint in. And I'm going to actually tape the caps onto the drive shaft so we don't lose a cap once I get it out of the yoke of the rear end. There, I've got the bottom U-bolt out, and I'm going to carefully pry the U-joint out of that the bottom of the yoke, hopefully without losing that cap off the end. We don't want to lose any needle bearings or anything. Here we go. Okay, this old car has got a X-frame with a carrier bearing. So as you can see, I really don't have enough room to get my drive shaft out away from that rear end to do any work on it. Here are the two bolts that secure the carrier bearing. I'm going to have to take those loose in order to get enough slack to work on it. Okay, it's at this point that I got enough slack that I can pull that back and get my electrical tape around the U-joint to keep from losing those caps. Taking that carrier bearing loose, it's giving me enough room. I'm probably going to go ahead and pull the drive shaft all the way out, because I'm going to make an attempt to replace the rear seal in the transmission. It's a cast iron Power Glide transmission. It's been dripping a little bit of fluid. These seals, they've probably never been changed. This car's, like I say, it's a 1960 model, so I'm sure the rubber's dried out by now and causing it to leak. Okay, I'm going to be attempting, I got the shaft loose, I'm going to attempt to lift that up above the rear end housing. And you see I got my bolts out of my carrier bearing, and I'm going to attempt to slide that drive shaft out of the end of the transmission. It's probably going to lose a little bit of fluid, so I'm trying to do this one-handed. And I think I got a rat's nest here where the carrier bearing is. It's hanging me up a little bit. Okay, here we go. And then I'm going to have to try to pull this drive shaft all the way out from under the car. I don't have it on a lift or anything, so I don't have a lot of room. Okay, the U-bolt nuts are 1/2 inch on this. The nut holding the yoke on the rear diff is 1 1/8 inches. So I've never done this before, so I'm hoping that is a right-hand thread. I want to put my impact on there and give it a shot, see if it comes off. I have already replaced the U-joints in this car probably 10 years ago when I first got the car, and as well as the carrier bearing, so I know that they should be good. I'll give them a little shot of grease before I put it back together, or after I put it back together rather. And it looks like it was a right-hand thread. Got that nut right off of there. And a big thick washer. And here you can actually see the spline back in there. Probably have to get a puller to pull that yoke out. So let me get that all set up. I was wrong, I didn't need a puller. I just barely pulled on it and it popped right out of there. What's weird is the inside of this cover on the yoke is wet with gear oil, but yet the seal itself was dry. The seal actually still has some flex to the rubber, so I'm hoping that a new seal is what it needs to keep that dude from leaking. Here's my new seal. Looks to be the same. I checked it on the yoke to make sure that it fits right on. So anyway, I'm gonna get the old one off. I don't have a seal puller, but I do have this funky little chisel that I use for a lot of things. So I'm gonna tap it with a hammer. I've already tapped it out a little bit, and I'm going to carefully tap it out and then pry it loose with a screwdriver. We got too much play. Well, it looks like we're at a halt on changing the seal in our 1960 Chevy rear end. But I got a seal kit for the cast iron Power Glide front and rear seal. That transmission's been leaking for a while. It probably needs to be rebuilt, but it you know, it drives and shifts good, doesn't slip or anything, so I just want to keep it from leaking right now. So I got this seal kit from Classic Transmission Solutions. Got the front and rear seal for a little over 36 bucks, tax and all. So I'm going to try to get that. I'm just going to change out the rear seal for right now. I don't want to pull the transmission. I'll put the rear seal in and see how it goes, and if it doesn't leak, fine. If it does, then later on I may pull the transmission and put the front seal in. This is the rear seal. There's the front. I've already got the shaft removed, drive shaft. That new seal doesn't really look anything like the old one, but hopefully it's a good replacement. That's probably the original seal in that transmission. Well, that was not pretty, but I finally got that thing beat loose. That seal is quite a bit different than the old one. The rubber in it's hard, and hopefully that's where the majority of the leak was coming from, but I'll get this cleaned up and put the new seal in there before I put my drive shaft back in. Okay, I carefully tapped in the new seal. I didn't add any kind of sealant or anything. Usually they work pretty well without adding anything. It just cleaned the surface where the seal drives into, and make sure it's tapped in all the way, and make make sure you don't get it started crooked. Just take your time with it, and that's about all there is to it.
Well, I'm not sure what happened here. Apparently I've enclosed some of my devotional Bible reading, but at any rate, thank you for watching.